Welcome back to the Tulsa World Sports Extra Show. I'm your host, Juwan Lee, joined by sports editor Barry Lewis, columnist Bill Haisten, and OU beat writer Eric Bailey. Great show. We have a great show for you. First, I want to get to a column my sports editor Barry Lewis wrote about OU's decision to move their opener from Saturday to Friday against Temple, August 30th. Barry, you said that decision was sickening. It got a lot of traction on social media, so I want to hear on your right now your opinion on that move.
Well, it was sickening, especially for those of us who care about high school sports. It's just going to suck a lot of the air out of that Friday night that would have normally all been focused. All the attention would have been focused on Friday Night Lights. Instead, the majority of it's going to go to OU, and I just, I just hate to see it. I understand why it happened. TV calls the shots, and although OU has promised it won't happen again this season, at least. You can bet that it'll probably happen again in the future.
It's funny. Last week, Joe Stiglione texted me to let me know the news, and in a second text, he told me this is a unique situation and that it won't happen again. And I have to respect Joe's wishes on that it doesn't happen again. I think, and I'm going to oppose Barry a little bit, a counterpoint. I think it's a neat deal for Oklahoma because they're on a big platform. I know they're on a big platform already, but getting that Friday night game the day before the season starts, having the national TV market to themselves, that's something that you really couldn't avoid if you're Oklahoma. You take advantage of that. I'm looking forward to a Friday night OU game because it's something that's never happened before. And I do understand the impact it does have on high school football. But then again, it's week 0. I don't think we're seeing a full slate of games while we are seeing some really big games. I think this is a good jumping off point for Oklahoma football this year, especially their first year in the SEC. From a marketing standpoint, they can use that when ESPN talks about new SEC member Oklahoma. So I see it from the college football point of view to where I think it's a big deal for Oklahoma and it's good for Oklahoma. But I say that really feeling, like Barry said, I do feel bad for those players that are playing, those families of players that are playing too.
So Oklahoma State played a Friday game last season, and it did not resonate even a fraction as much as this has with regard to reaction. And to my surprise, honestly, Oklahoma State sold that game out at a time when they had lost 2 in a row before that. This resonates the way it does because it is OU, because there's 80,000 plus in that stadium, and because it has such a pronounced trickle-down effect on high school football. A lot of those people would have been at a game on Friday night. A lot of those people, Eric, have kids involved in high school football, right? Those people, I mean, the OU fans. A lot of those people have kids who play football, or they're in the spirit squad, or they're in the band, marching band, or whatever. And they typically, that's kind of the template of Oklahoma football. Fridays are for the preps and Saturdays for the college programs. But Barry had a great stat too, that over the last decade, the University of Tulsa has played 19 Friday games, 11 of them at H.A. Chapman Stadium, and sort of like OSU, that didn't resonate as a huge deal. Although with me and Barry, we would always say, and other people would say, it's a shame Tulsa has to play that game on a Friday because it's a really good game for Tulsa, and people who would love to have attended that game, that Tulsa game, they're going to be at a high school game. So it's the other way around. The high schools kind of hurt the TU attendance, and then this time it'll be the OU game will hurt the high school attendance and the shine on opening night for the preps.
So we had other local colleges play Friday night games. So Barry, I want to ask you, is the uproar more so about OU's game being on the opening week of high school, or is this something that you do not want to see with colleges playing on Friday nights?
Both, I think, being the opening night, I think that's what really hit hard this time because, as Bill said, OSU played middle of the season game on a Friday night last year, and it really didn't resonate like this move has made. So I think the fact that it is on the opening night, I think that's what really stings from a high school aspect.
Moving on to the college. Oh,
Yeah,
Bill, I'm
just
sorry.
to say real quick, Juwan, and because unlike college football in most cases, and the high school schedule opens with a bang, big big games right out of the gate. So a lot of like the Battle of the Burbs, Bixby Owasso, and Holland Hall, Casher Hall, bunch of big Booker T. Muskogee, a lot of big time games that opening weekend, and so that OU will command the spotlight on that Friday night, that first Friday for the high schools.
Moving on to college
Yes,
basketball.
you have
John.
more
No, Barry. No, go ahead, Barry.
you have more big games. Just following up to what Bill said, yes, you have more big games on each of the first 3 weeks of the season overall than you have for like a midseason game. So I think that adds to the situation with OU moving to Friday night.
Right.
College basketball on the slate next. John Calipari gets announced as he gets introduced as Arkansas's next head coach. Bill, you were at that presser. First, I want to hear, what was the atmosphere like, and next, what impact do you feel this will have on the Arkansas basketball program?
Well, the atmosphere was electric. There were 7,000 people there. There would have been many more, but the weather was horrific that night. The rain it was just a mess. The impact extends way beyond, to me, way beyond Arkansas basketball, because when you bring in a guy like John Calipari, you're making a statement to the Arkansas football program too, that no more mediocrity. We're done with that. And so this is it to me, it quadruples the pressure on Sam Pittman to have a nice football season. Arkansas, it's really interesting. Arkansas has the athletic director that night, Juwan, identified by name 2 donors who were instrumental in helping get Calipari to Fayetteville, right? And those 2 donors have a combined net income of $6 billion. And then the Walton family of the Walmart chain, they have a collective wealth that amounts to $200 million, and they are known for giving generously to the University of Arkansas. It just feels like to me that Arkansas is this close to just making a statement to the whole of the SEC, to OU, to Texas, to A&M, that we are sick of mediocrity in football, and we are sick of this inconsistency in basketball, and we bring in John Calipari as a signal that we're about to go to a different place, and our expectations are getting adjusted in a big way. And you know what? In the NIL era, Juwan, they have tremendously wealthy people who are ready to help them succeed in the NIL era of college athletics.
You know, this is a great investment for Arkansas. You just look at the track record. Everywhere this man has coached college basketball, he's had success, going back to the UMass days. And then he goes to Memphis and does what he does there, makes them a perennial #1 team. He did the same at Kentucky. And Arkansas can just look at his track record and know this man knows college basketball. And by the way, he was the New Jersey Nets coach for a while too. So this guy is a Hall of Famer. It's a big time get for Arkansas. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do with that program. He's going to have to start from scratch. That roster is depleted. But tell me about a player that doesn't want to play for John Calipari, and just given the track record he has. And then you think about it too, he's in the SEC still. So he knows this conference, he knows this league. There's not much changing for him in terms of that. So I think this is a huge get for Arkansas. If you're an Arkansas fan, you have every right to be excited. I'm looking forward to those Oklahoma-Arkansas basketball games with Cal coming to Norman or OU going to Fayetteville and watching these games. That's going to be exciting. I'm just kind of sad that the OU Arkansas series at the BOK Center is over now, because I would have loved to see Calipari coach against OU in the BOK in December.
The press conference announcing Calipari's hiring was held a day after the 39th anniversary of when Arkansas hired Nolan Richardson away from the University of Tulsa. And I predict that this hiring of Calipari has the potential to take Arkansas basketball to the next level, just as was the case when Arkansas hired Nolan Richardson away, taking a really good program that Eddie Sutton had built back in the late 70s and early 80s and just making it even better. So I think that's the type of potential this hiring has.
Bill, you said a move like this sends a message to to the Arkansas football program. No more mediocrity. But when you talk about what Calipari is expected to do in year one at Arkansas, what are those expectations?
Oh my Lord. I mean, I would, because of the portal, because of his track record of putting guys in the league. I mean, Eric said it. I mean, elite blue chip guys are going to want to go to Arkansas to play for Calipari right now. So, I mean, time will tell. We'll see what the composition of the roster looks like. But it wouldn't shock me if they're an Elite Eight team in his first year, because you can do that now, right? You can completely retool a program overnight, especially basketball, because of the portal. And like I alluded to, the wealth and the money flowing through that athletic department now. NIL won't be an issue. They will spend their NIL war chest will be as healthy as any in college athletics for basketball. Time will tell to see if those same people are as generous regarding football, but it won't surprise me if a year from now we're talking about Arkansas having made a comparably splashy hire in football. Because I think, like I said, I think this is a big year for Sam Pittman. Arkansas's, they've not won a conference title in 35 years. They've not won a national title in 60 years. I just think their people are like, why not us? Why not us? And they're willing to spend to make that happen.
Lincoln Riley to Arkansas. You heard it here first.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm just joking.
Listen, I would love. Hey, I would love
Why are
that.
you kidding? Why are you kidding? Why are you kidding?
It's yeah. I just don't want people to think, oh, that's going to no. I'm just joking. But you never know. It could happen. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. But yeah, if Arkansas is going to go out there for football, make that statement. If Sam Pittman cannot get the job done this year, look for a big splashy hire. I agree with the Bill. They're tired of mediocrity over there. They want to win, and the Calipari move in this athletic department just proves that.
Yep.
Bear, are you kind of the same mindset as Bill and Eric?
Oh, absolutely. Arkansas better not get off to a slow start, or you could see a coaching change at midseason. So I think there is an urgency to win in the football program.
Right now, as a time recording, we're recording on the Tuesday. The NBA play-in is happening. I celebrated my birthday this past weekend at the OKC Thunder home game Sunday. They played the Dallas Mavericks. Unfortunately, my Mavericks lost by nearly 50 points, if not 50 points. The game was over by halftime, but I had a fun time regardless. I had my Dirk Nowitzki jersey on, so it was a great time. But with that win, the Thunder clinched the number 1 seed, which means that whoever they're playing is going to come out of the play-in game Thursday. Right now, that play-in includes the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Warriors. Barry, of those 4 names, which team presents the most favorable matchup for the OKC Thunder in round 1?
I would say the Pelicans. I don't think not that the Pelicans would be easy, but the Thunder would have confidence having beaten the Pelicans in a big game last year in a play-in game. So I think you've got that going for them. And I just don't think they match up. They match up decently against the Warriors, but the Warriors are playing really well, and they don't match up well against the Lakers, don't match up well against the Kings necessarily. So I think the Pelicans would be the best opponent for the Thunder.
If I could handpick an opponent for the Thunder in that first round, it's the Lakers. Barry, don't you want to see that? Don't you want to see the Lakers come in there for a bet? I'm serious. I mean, I'll never the loudest and most juiced that the Oklahoma City crowds have ever been were for. Man, you'll see, Juwan, the Oklahoma City crowds for the postseason games are famously loud and engaged. But I've never heard it as loud as it was for the Lakers series in 2010. And there's just something about LeBron, and I think it would be really satisfying for the entire Thunder culture to knock LeBron out of the playoffs in the first round. But as far as favorable matchups, yeah, Barry's right. It's the Pelicans, but I think the Lakers are going to beat the Pelicans. The Lakers will advance, and then face the Golden State Sacramento loser. Yeah. And then No, I got it backwards. Anyway, it's of the four. I don't really think I want to see Golden State, and I don't really, from a matchup standpoint, love the Lakers as a first round opponent. But from a statement standpoint, and just to knock LeBron out of the postseason, and to get the crowd engaged at the maximum ultimate level, bring LA on. I mean, that's what I mean, if you're going to have to win a bunch of tough games and beat good teams, so let's just come out of the gate against the Lakers and see what it looks like.
Also with that number one seed, that puts SGA, I don't know if the forefront of the MVP discussion, but I mean, it makes the case against him substantially harder. Barry, after the Thunder locked up the number one seed, is SGA your MVP this year?
Absolutely, slam dunk. I said a few weeks ago, the way I was reading the NBA national talk was that SGA, if Oklahoma City was the number one seed, that SGA's got to be the MVP. And I absolutely believe that now. Although now you're hearing a lot of talk, well, it's going to be Joker. A lot of people are still promoting Luka. Some are promoting Jalen Brunson. Got the New York factor there. But you can't do anything more than SGA did this year. Number one seed, averages 30 points a game. He was there every night, except for the late in the season. We took those 4 games off to get healed up. You can't do anything more than he did. So he's absolutely the MVP.
Well, I mean, defensively led the league in steals, right? And and you can't just determine a guy's value defensively based on a stat like steals, because defense is an every possession effort thing, right? But you can watch the games and see for yourself that Shai Alexander guards every guy he's squared up against every possession. He really works. You never see him. Russell Westbrook, Juwan, we used to laugh at him, how glaringly he would take off defensive possessions and just stand around and watch. Shai doesn't do that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should be the MVP. 57 wins, number one seed, number 3 scorer in the league, and the number 1 guy in steals, and the unquestioned leader of the second youngest team in the league, and the youngest team in the league ever to be the 1 seed. I don't know how you don't give it to him. In fact, I said before we started recording that, this is going to be one of the closest MVP votes of all time. The more I'm thinking about it and listening to Barry talk about it, I'm not sure why it really should be that close a vote. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to me is clearly, whether he wins it or not, he's the most valuable player in the league.
This wasn't something that was on our show's agenda, but as you were talking, Bill, a thought popped into my head about this SGA argument. And, I asked the question, which one would be favorable? I get the notion that a lot of national pundits believe that this Thunder team, if they have to play the Lakers and even the Warriors, that they're pretty much a first round exit. Being the fact that there's a number one seeded team, and you could look at it as if he has to play LeBron or Steph Curry, a lot of people would think that the Thunder would be the underdogs. Do you feel, Bill, that plays any role in the fact that he isn't getting that loud MVP chant like Jokic is?
Well, if it is, it's ridiculous. I mean, it should have no bearing on that. In fact, the deadline for MVP votes is later. In fact, it starts today's the 16th, starts today. 16th through the 19th is the MVP voting. It used to be earlier than this, which was silly to vote before the end of the regular season. But so, I mean, if you base a regular season award like MVP on some sort of possibility on first round matchups, that's ridiculous. And I'm just saying, I think my memory is scarred, and Barry was sitting there with me when it happened, by what the Warriors did in Oklahoma City in 2016 and Klay Thompson and that amazing comeback from 3 games to 1 for the Warriors. And then, of course, LeBron has historically played his best basketball against Oklahoma City. So they're going to have to overcome an obstacle in the first round, psychologically to some extent, and for sure physically with the matchup. So I just kind of am partial to seeing LA come in. I think it'd be a lot of fun to kick off this postseason and to have Oklahoma City to have LeBron James on the other end of the floor for the first Oklahoma City home game in a playoff game in 5 years. We used
SGA
to
will for
see
sure
this
be
stuff
my
all the time. We used to go to these games all the time, Barry, and it's been 5 years now. It's crazy.
SGA
6 years
is
for me.
100%.
I missed the Portland series in 19.
SGA is 100% my MVP. My head is telling me SGA, but just looking at what these national voters are doing, I really think that they're going to give it to Jokic, even though, I mean, 3 MVPs, I feel like that puts him in the discussion all time historically that I don't know if I would be ready to put Jokic in. But there just hasn't been this loud chant nationally for SGA. I don't know if that has to do with the lack of national attention the Thunder gets, if it's the fact that people aren't buying into this Thunder team, their youth, or they just I don't know what it is, but for me, if I was a voter, I would hand my vote to SGA. But if I was a betting man, I would probably put my money on Jokic. So with that, and Barry told me if the Mavericks get eliminated from the playoffs, I have to become a Thunder fan. I don't know if I would do that, but we'll see though, Barry.
All right. Well, just looking forward to an exciting postseason.
All right, final topic as we do every week, our final parting shots. Eric, we'll start with you.
Is Oklahoma softball vulnerable? They are 3-3 over their last 6 games, including a 9-4 loss against BYU over the weekend. I was at that game, and Patty Gasso said, "I know what championship teams feel like. She knows what winning feels like," and she said, "We're not feeling it." So, and those could be just words from her, just to really inspire her team. But it's a good question. She even mentioned, hopefully we'll continue to be in this Big 12 race. And when have we last heard words like that out of Patty Gasso's mouth? Right now they have a 1-game lead over Texas. They got the big Bedlam series to wrap up the season coming up. That's going to be so much fun watching that again. And as we tape this tonight, they're hosting Tulsa at Oklahoma City's Hall of Fame Stadium. And that's going to be an exciting venue. And don't sleep on this Tulsa team. I watched them on Sunday. They have a great lineup led off by Mackenzie Denson and Imani Edwards at 1-2. Two outstanding players. It's going to be a fun game. I'm driving down to Oklahoma City to cover that game. So softball, we're getting to the heat of the battle right now for all 3 schools, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Tulsa. Looking forward to seeing how all 3 finish, and would love to see all 3 in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year.
Bill.
If I remember right, TU softball, didn't they shut out Oklahoma State a couple of weeks ago too? I mean, they're really good. No, I'll just close with this. What I saw at Fayetteville the other day was so eye-opening and so kind of, in a sense, jarring, that it was the loudest, most public statement that I've seen or heard regarding the power of money now in college athletics. I mean, we're all aware of it, and we're all aware of the NIL and the flexibility and freedom of these athletes and all that. But that was because Hunter Yurachek, the AD at Arkansas, made it a point to identify and thank 2 donors, Warren Stevens and John Tyson, as being the driving forces to get John Calipari to Arkansas. And then Yurachek, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but he said that Warren Stevens and John Tyson join me in hoping that everybody across the state understands the importance of giving to help sustain our athletics success here at Arkansas. So, I mean, and what that means is, it's interesting too. And I have it somewhere, but they passed out this, like this poster thing for the John Calipari welcome to town kind of thing. Every fan got one. And at the bottom of it was a QR code and said, scan this QR code if you want to donate to the NIL collective. So they're not missing a trick over there. And I was really astounded by this very public statement about the importance of money in college athletics now.
Barry.
Right before our show started, we learned that Hall of Fame manager Whitey Herzog died at age 92. He changed the fortunes of several franchises, the Mets, the Royals, the Cardinals. As a longtime Cardinals follower, I hated it. Really didn't like it, I should say, when he was named manager of the Cardinals, because he was replacing one of the more beloved figures in Cardinals history, Ken Boyer. And then he traded away a lot of beloved Cardinal players. But within 2.5 years, he brought St. Louis a World Series title. Last week, Bill wrote about his lunch with OJ. And I will soon be writing about my golf round with Whitey. So look forward to that in an upcoming Tulsa World, probably next Monday.
All right, for Eric, Bill, Barry, and myself, Juwan Lee, this has been another episode of the Tulsa World Sports Extra Show. We'll see you all next week.